Welcome once again to Better Black Health, brought to you by Genetic Sequence Multivitamins, still the only multivitamins made to meet the nutritional needs of African Americans. Find them on sequencemultivitamins.com, as well as a Better Black Health book available on Amazon and doing great things. Today, I'm honored to welcome a true pioneer in the fight against breast cancer, Karen Eubanks Jackson. She's a founder and CEO of Sisters Network, Inc., the nation's largest African-American breast cancer survivorship organization. After becoming a breast cancer survivor herself, she transformed her personal experience into a national movement dedicated to saving lives, educating communities, and ensuring that Black women receive the support, advocacy, and care that they deserve. For more than 30 years, Karen has been a leading voice raising awareness about the unique challenges Black women face with breast cancer, from later diagnosis and more aggressive disease to disparities in treatment and outcomes. Through Sisters Network, she's empowered thousands of women to seek screening, advocate for themselves, and find hope through survivorship. Today, we'll talk about her journey, the mission behind Sisters Network, and what every woman should know about breast cancer. And so with that, I welcome Karen Eubanks Jackson. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Well, I appreciate that, but I have to say, you left off, I'm a pioneer. How's that? You mentioned a lot of things.
A true pioneer. I said true pioneer.
True pioneer, yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
You start some stuff. That's for sure. That's for sure. I mean, and it's so important. Now, I saw a patient, 40 something, late 40s, and I first time visiting her, and she said, I said, let's get a mammogram. You ever had a mammogram? She looked at me like I was crazy. No one in my family has ever had a mammogram. Like, I just felt like I insulted her. And I'm thinking, that's not a bragging point. I mean, do you see that out there? There's still people that they see not doing mammography?
It still exists. And the other reason it still exists is because we still have that fear of finding out that we have cancer. So we think not doing anything will just make sure it'll go away. But one of the things I'm very proud of Sisters Network as a national organization, we knew right away, because of my own personal experience in being diagnosed in 93, that we weren't being treated fairly. We weren't exposed. The resources weren't there. And even if we knew certain things, we still had to advocate for ourselves with the knowledge that we had. So that was very devastating to me as an individual. And I've lived in a lot of states, I've moved around for business and for personal.
Mhm.
So I knew different states that they were different. And most of the time, if you don't move around, you think everybody's, other than being Southern or Northern, you think that's the biggest difference. But no, we are different from city to city, state to state. So when I started Sisters, I knew it had to be a national, even though we weren't funded. I'm not trained in starting any national organization, although my background with my mother, who did some of everything and was an entrepreneur, but not famous.
Mhm.
I just learned from just being in that environment. She always started social groups, took care of senior citizens, just developed stuff. So I just never thought I couldn't start a national organization. It didn't enter my mind.
Right.
It should have.
Well, a lot of stuff
But it didn't.
enter our minds that we can do it. But when there's a need, and there certainly was a need, then those
Yes.
needs really just
It just gives you your purpose. It really gave me my purpose. And I must say that my spirit just kept speaking to me that I needed to do this, because
Mhm.
it was not in my mindset that I should do this, but my spirit kept talking to me about, you can do this. This is needed. You know how to do, you know.
Right.
And I just started deciding that this is what I wanted, and no blueprint, no resources, and just said, let me think of a name. And I thought of something that would be inclusive, and
Mhm.
we're sisters, and
Mhm.
we are a network.
Right.
So there you go.
What sort of stories that surprise you? Sometimes when you do something big like that, it has unintended positive and negative
Yeah.
potential outcomes. What sort of positive things did you find that you never imagined when you were establishing this organization?
Well, I actually imagined that we'd be in every city by now.
Mm,
So that is to me bewildering that we're not.
mhm.
We're in 30, but that's small, but it's powerful because we're very strong in the cities that we're located.
Yeah, right.
Um, it has given me my purpose, and I see that it has given other members and other women across the country their purpose. And if you've noticed, um, Black women are wanting to start organizations more now. They're not afraid to step out. So I think I took the fear out of it
Mhm,
to
right, right.
step out and start something, but the fear to get your mammogram before age 35 or age 40,
Mhm.
it resonates with a lot of women, but not enough. And I have to say that the reasoning has to do with the guidelines are sticking very steadily with something that doesn't work for our community.
No,
So
that's
there's where the gap is.
yeah, we see that, as a physician, I see that, with prostate cancer, because they say, the recommendation is to
50, yeah,
discuss PSA screening with the doctor. It's not even recommended to do it. It's to discuss it. The formal recommendation says just discuss it. A lot of Black men would say, "No, I
absolutely.
don't want to know." My father would say, "No, I don't want to know if I have prostate cancer." You know what I'm saying?
See,
So it's
that's the
the bad
fear.
recommendation, the bad recommendation, and absolutely. They say between 40 and 50, do it every other year, every third year. Black women need to do it every year, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. All women need to do it every
Yeah,
year,
right.
but
But
we concentrate on what we need to do as a community. But
absolutely.
all women need to make sure that they have both tests, and that's even not well known. That you're supposed to have your mammogram and an ultrasound
Mhm,
if you want 100% in
mhm,
your testing. Mammogram doesn't give you 100, but you
mhm.
combine it with an ultrasound, you are totally clear with that.
Yeah.
And that was one of the problems I had in 93 when I was diagnosed. I had a family history, so I thought I was being proactive. I had insurance, so I was getting my mammogram every year from the same location so they could, view the scans.
Mhm,
But I had a sensation in my body, in my breast. Something kept nagging at me that something's wrong. And
mhm.
every year my mammogram said I was fine. And I was glad to hear that.
Yeah.
But that inner spirit
Mhm,
told me that what I was not getting all that I needed. So I just plain asked my doctor, I said, what is the other type test? Or is there another type test? And he says, well, mammogram is good. You've been good. I said, but it's not showing what needs to be shown.
mhm.
Can I have that? What is it? And he gave me an ultrasound. There it was. It had been there about 6 or 7 years,
My goodness, my
but
goodness.
it was slow growing. So that was an advantage for me. But suppose I was triple negative.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have 7 years for them to decide to
Mm,
give me an ultrasound.
no.
So as an organization, the first thing I did was to make sure I combined both tests, even though that was not the standard.
Mhm.
And I will let women know if they can't afford it, we will pay for your ultrasound also because it's that important.
Wow, that's something that, when people get a mammogram and it's borderline, I get a lot of mammograms that say, suggest a follow-up ultrasound of the left breast. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
People start preparing their wills and, all that stuff, and then they find out it ends up being nothing, most of the time. You know what I mean? But you're right, but just that follow-up test, but still the majority of certainly the women in my practice don't get a mammogram and an ultrasound. They're lucky if they get a mammogram.
Well, that's the fallacy that we're, as an organization, we know that to be true. And guess what?
Hmm.
It's not always the person that doesn't have insurance that's not getting their mammogram every year.
Uh-uh.
Middle class women and others, they think they're not, breast cancer doesn't mean them.
Mhm.
And Unfortunately, it has gotten so much better, but we started from zero. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So we still have a long ways to go, but I can tell you the difference is the younger women, 30 and under,
Mhm.
they're listening. They're paying attention. And so that's a good thing.
No,
That's
it
a good thing.
is a good thing. Another good thing, my wife watches, Beyond the Gates, and because 'cause I'm
It's
married.
a great I love it.
Yeah, because I'm married to her and happen to be in the same room occasionally, I watch it too, and they're doing something about the BRCA
That breast
gene.
cancer segment,
Yeah,
yes.
and the BRCA gene, which disproportionately happens in African Americans,
Yeah.
they don't talk about that very much, out in the community.
Well, they don't talk too much about the testing, genetic testing anyway. Enough of us have to get genetic testing for them to have a good cross section of Black women in the study.
That are doing that. But right, so they just this morning we watched the episode from yesterday, and they're talking about having a prophylactic bilateral mastectomy. You know what I mean? And so like all the
They're
options.
carrying it through to the whole family. So,
Yes, and so I
yes,
think
and I think it's beautiful. In fact, we want to have the main character come to our national summit in
mhm,
October. So
yeah,
we're working on that, having her come and awarding her one of our main award for people in the community that are
yeah,
doing things. She doesn't have to be a survivor, but
yeah,
she is reaching people, and I have to say the storyline is very accurate. I pay
mhm,
attention to what they're
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
And also to include the granddaughter, one doesn't have the test, I mean, the BRCA problem, and the other one does.
mhm.
So it's interesting.
It is, but it's reaching a lot of people that are trying to that would
Yeah.
normally have their head in the sand as it relates to that. So how has the landscape changed from, what have you, the organization, what have you seen it do between 1994 and now? I mean, you've
It's
seen some.
grown dramatically.
Mhm.
People aren't running from you when you say breast cancer.
Right,
They
mhm.
stop and listen. Before they couldn't run fast enough because I ran faster anyway. But my chapters now in cities, not all big cities, so people are interested in listening. So when we have events
Mhm,
and when we go out in the community to other people's events
mhm,
to exhibit and talk about it, people stop and listen. I mean, to tell you, we used to have to stand in front of the booth
mhm.
and pull people over to have them come and listen. Now they mosey on over,
Right,
and
yeah.
what is this and what is so yes, it's changed, but the action still hasn't met the information. We're
Mhm.
getting the knowledge. Now we need that action to go ahead and do it.
Right, right. So, and when you think about Black women in particular, and saying like, what are there things that particularly, in particular, like cultural things that Black women do that put them at an increased risk for breast cancer? Is there any information like that out there?
Well, we're all learning that our food is very detrimental to our general health.
Hmm.
There's not any scientific information that says that we're doing certain things that's just appropriate for us to get more breast cancer.
Right.
But I'm sure there is something.
Yeah. Well, there's
But
alcohol, but that doesn't
well,
necessarily.
alcohol for everyone.
Right,
Yes.
right, right. It's
Mm.
true. And actually less so, the data shows for Black women. But yeah, fried food, inflammation, all those
Yeah.
things. So foods that if you don't eat enough stuff that's kind of counter-inflammatory,
Well, I
you
just
could
feel
have.
as though if women nowadays pay attention to what they put in their mouth
Mhm,
and whether or not they have any physical activity,
mhm,
and they put their health first. That's
mhm.
the very first thing all of us need to do. Your health has to be first on your list
Right.
in order for you to survive any of this stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
So I find it very intriguing because I've evolved. I've always put my breast cancer first. I
Mhm,
didn't put my total health first.
mhm.
And it is so exciting for me as I develop and see the difference in my own survival, being a long-term survivor. I've always swam. Now I've added the strength training because I'm 83.
Oh my goodness.
So I have to make sure my muscles and my bones, I can maintain a good, amount of strength and not lose anymore.
Mhm.
So I'm excited doing the weightlifting.
Wow, that's a crazy, and that's so, and I'm at the point where I'm doing the same thing, stretching and working with a coach through video, and doing
Yeah.
things that I wouldn't think about doing 20 years ago, and
You
you look
need to start
amazing.
early.
Yeah,
You
and
need to
because
start at age 40. You should be doing all of that. And I didn't wait until I was in my late 70s to start doing added stuff.
yeah,
So
I
taking the vitamins, getting rest, it's actually a challenge.
it
And I
is.
love it.
Yeah, and I something like you said, because we're not, the guy that I work with who's 78, he says that, you're either getting better every day, you're either getting a little bit better or a little bit worse. So,
That's a
and
truism.
the answer is according to you. You know what I mean? You're the you can decide whether
You
you
can
get a
you
little
have
bit better or
control over that. And
you
we do. We do.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I'm
So
having the experience of being a diabetic, which just adds another layer.
right.
But that came from my chemotherapy. So I never put it together,
Mm,
at the time. But as
right.
time went on, I knew that that's how it originated. But
Mhm.
still, I have to make changes for that.
Right, right, right. So and then we talked briefly about there being hormone positive, hormone negative breast
Yes.
cancers, and Black women disproportionately get the hormone negative, which are the ones that have fewer treatments. Are we making any advancements as it relates to the treatments of breast cancer?
Well, we are doing a lot more research, and we're included in the research because a number of our membership is involved in research. But the problem is, research takes years and years and years to develop the right, formula.
Right.
So in the meantime, they're, trying out things, but we have control over our diet and the sugar that goes into our body, which the
Mm.
cancer loves. So why would you continue? And I love sugar just like the next person.
Body else, right.
But knowing that it's not good for you to the degree that it can make your cancer worse,
Hmm.
I don't want any. You know,
Right, right, right. No, I know exactly what you mean. And smoking, there are people that
yeah.
smoke
Fortunately,
and
I
you
never
breast.
smoke, but people who smoke need to, consider giving that up.
Absolutely. They absolutely do. Do you find I had a lady just last week, she's in her 70s, never had a mammogram, and she only comes once a year in good health. And I'm like, "Come on." She said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not." And she, to her credit, I ordered the year before I ordered Cologuard, so she did the colon cancer screening, but she says, "I'm absolutely not doing it." And I'm like, it's just there's no reason, we can detect things early, and as you get older, your risk for breast cancer actually goes
Right.
up. So it's
It
like
does.
this is not a certain there's not a certain age where you should stop.
You
Although,
miss out. Yeah.
again, your recommendations there, the recommendation might be stop at age 80, but that's not a
Well,
good
guess what?
recommendation.
Insurance wise, they recommend that you don't have to take any of these tests after 80.
And
But,
that's
that's
crazy.
not so. It depends on what kind of 80 you are.
Absolutely,
I'm
absolutely.
having all my tests.
No, no, and you should, and my oldest patient was 111. So, there's people, I got a lady 103 right now doing good, and so
Mhm.
and when you neglect breast cancer, I've had people come with advanced breast cancer, over that age, right? And because it's growing slow, they just ignore it, and they're thinking I'm going to die of something, and then we find it's always a big mess. We still have to do treatments, we still have to take it off because it still has to be addressed. So why they decide at a random age to stop screening makes no sense. So I screen people as long as they need to be screened, and I think that's but again, you have to
But
advocate
the
on
person
have to have
doesn't want to pay.
yeah.
So maybe sometimes that's a reason. But I when I talk to women and they say, well, And we're giving free mammograms and ultrasounds, but some people don't qualify for one reason or another. I
Right.
said, well, how much did you pay for your weave hair? How much did you pay for your nails
Right.
and your pedicure?
Right.
Okay, that can cover a mammogram.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
don't really want to hear I don't have enough money,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I know.
And if we will suffer having less of whatever to get our hair done and makeup and nails, but how about living to the next year so you can have nails done and
right.
your makeup, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So
Right. No.
I don't let the people tell me that money is an issue.
Mhm. What
We
about the
borrow money to do everything
everything
else.
else? Yeah. No, you're right. And they no matter what however they are, they always have a cell phone, don't they? You could be
And
homeless.
that is so expensive,
Yeah, but they always
you
have a
know,
cell phone,
and
so
have to have a new one with a pretty case.
it's really crazy.
So
So how
putting
important
our health first comes number 1. That gets you on the right track.
right, and your perspective, and
Yes.
that perspective, so tell me about how mental health I mean, as a three-time survivor, your
4.
mental 4-time, your mental health, your mental perspective had to be a big part of the reason you're still here, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. They say I'm a little different, a little quirky, and I'm glad.
Right.
But I always felt that if you find it early, which I started off finding at stage 2, which is not the earliest,
Mhm,
but every time I've been diagnosed since stage 2, I've been finding it stage 1 and DCIS, which
mhm,
shows my active ability to find my cancer before it shows up.
mhm.
Even on the mammogram or ultrasound, I feel it. And I can say, it's here or wherever. And they say, no, it's nothing, nothing, nothing. So I have to wait for the machine to catch up with what I'm feeling.
Right, and, I interviewed
Yeah.
another breast cancer survivor, and she said the same thing, that everything was negative, but she felt something, and when they took it
Yes.
out, she felt it gone. You know what I mean? And that's
I
like
do know what you
and
mean. So
yeah,
people say, well, why don't you have a mastectomy for both breasts? Because I've had 2 times in both breasts. And
mhm,
so they said, well, get new breasts. I said, but then I wouldn't feel the next cancer should it show up. So
and
I'm not going to do anything that's going to hinder me finding it early
right, and that perspective is so important.
because I like perky boobs just like everybody else.
And I'm letting that go right by. So what part
Honesty is the best policy.
Yeah, absolutely. How could doctors do a better job? We've got a lot of black pre-med students that listen to the podcast. What can young black physicians do to help as in terms of decreasing the rate of breast cancer in black women?
Work with organizations like Sisters Network to get the guidelines lowered so the women can get insurance to cover their mammogram and ultrasound.
Mhm.
That's the number one issue. If everyone can get it through their insurance, and then organizations like Sisters can take care of the ones who don't have insurance, we
Mhm.
can cover more people.
Right. And like you said, in Cleveland, where I am, there's Susan B. Coleman will pay
Yeah.
for mammograms if you can't afford them, and so but people don't know about it. Because somehow they keep these little places
We
secret.
do mammogram free nationally, so that's not an excuse. We do them, of course, in our local chapters, take
Right.
care of that.
Mhm.
But if we're not in the city, they can call the national office and we can make sure that that individual in their city selects a location and we can take care of paying for that.
Yeah, that's outstanding. So what gives you hope as it relates to breast cancer and black women? And is there I know you've seen some advancements, but is
Seen a
there
lot of enforcement, yeah,
yeah. But
yeah.
what do you think is gonna happen with this in the next 30 years?
Well, next 30 years, we'll be through with this.
You will?
Yeah.
It's just gonna be and then
Yeah.
what about
It's very possible to do that because the research is getting closer. In fact, I would, if I were a betting woman, I'd say
Mhm,
we already have some of the answers,
mhm,
and we're just trying to really make more money. You
mhm.
didn't hear that from me, but
Right,
anyway.
right. But you think some of the answers maybe looking maybe out
Having
there already.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And that's that breast MRI. They're doing those, and those are supposed to be I don't know, much about them, but I know that that's sort of when there's issues of confusion, sometimes they can
Get
do
one
that.
every year.
You get a MRI every year?
Yes, because there has been an occasion in 2019, my last one,
Mhm,
where I had the mammogram and the ultrasound, and they both were clear.
mhm,
And I said, "Well, no, there's something there."
mhm.
And, because I had to advocate for myself, I
Again,
got
yeah.
the MRI and they found 2 new cancers in one breast,
Wow.
but it
That
didn't show up. So now I get an MRI every year on top of it.
So we're missing a lot of stuff that we could find earlier if we just use the technology that we have right now, right?
That's right. But I can tell you, when I go to for a person who has insurance and
Mhm,
goes to get her first mammogram, it's tough if
mhm,
she's not 40. Even if she has a family history, even if she feels something,
mhm,
they get a lot of pushback because the agency can't maybe get the insurance to pay for it.
mhm.
See? So
Right,
they try to talk the woman out of it, and I
mm,
see it all the time. But
right.
you have to be strong and advocate for yourself. But that's one of the things that Sisters Network will do. If you can't talk the person through what they need to do, then you can have some help with somebody who can talk for
Who
you.
can help you with that?
Yeah.
How do you help people when they have fears of chemotherapy in big words, or fear of radiation,
Well,
or fear of
radiation, chemo is not the same for everyone.
Mhm,
Your body accepts it differently
mhm,
than someone else with the same treatment. And I can tell you that your mindset, because my first chemo, I didn't want it either. But
right,
I when I decided that this was going to save my life, it didn't affect me negatively in receiving it. When I
mhm,
was like, "Oh, I don't want this,"
yeah,
no, that's not the way to go into your chemo or your radiation. This is saving your life.
right,
Work with it, do your diet, do your exercise, read and think about positive things in the future.
right,
Don't, woe is me, I'm going to die. Well, that's not the attitude to have when
no,
you're sick. You've got
no,
to be positive that you are blessed and you are going to make it. It
right.
helps.
That's really incredible. What about the myth about you've had a number of biopsies, right? And
Yeah.
they say when the air hits it, the cancer spreads all over the place. And
I'm
I'm like,
very aware of that. If you cut, you're
you hear
gonna
that?
die.
So how
Anywhere, never mind the breath, anywhere.
anywhere? Yeah, of course. Yeah, the air hit it, then you
The
messed
air
up.
hits it, you're gone. And you know what that is about?
What?
Years ago, when we would get to the doctor to have the surgery, it's
Mm.
already too late.
Yes, right, right.
Because they
It was
waited
already
too long
spread
for
all
the
over. Right,
surgery in the first place.
right,
But
right.
we don't understand that part or accept that part. We just know that air took him out.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen,
So it's it's
it,
it's
it
funny, but it's not funny. And we have to
no.
do better with looking deeply into something rather than be surface thinking about this is your life and
Right.
it could be a better one if you're in control of it.
Absolutely, absolutely, and having someone respected like you nationally, Karen Eubanks Jackson, to be able to send that message, I can't see anybody kind of rolling their eyes at you either, right? Because it's important
I got used to it. I got used to it. That didn't
absolutely.
stop me.
So what do you want the Black women listening to this podcast, where do you want them to go? How can they support people that don't have people here that listen that don't have breast cancer, in addition protecting themselves? How can they help the entire movement?
The entire movement needs every single person, man or woman or child, to take an active part wherever it fits them. If
Mhm,
that's going to some meeting, if that's contributing $5, $500, if it's sending a letter, when we want to roll out the information for our um, not lawyers, but for the political folk to
Mhm.
change things, we need you to sign the petition.
Right, right, right.
All that matters.
All
All
that
that
matters.
matters. When we send something out on either TikTok or any of the social medias, and
Mhm.
we need you to say yes or no, it matters.
So
Numbers matter.
I'll
You know,
post the TikTok and the Instagram links with this podcast so that the people know how
mhm.
to click in and join and follow and everything because everyone is certainly touched by breast cancer. You know, my
And on
mother-in-law.
our website, we have what to ask your doctor. You can download it and take it with you. We
Yeah.
make sure that it's in easy enough to understand. You
Mhm,
have the question and the answer. We have information on the stats, the statistics that for Black women.
mhm.
We have information on the um, I should say, most anything that you would want to know is downloadable. You can download as much as you want. It's beautiful. It's in color, free.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thanks so much for joining us, Karen Eubanks Jackson, the true pioneer. If I didn't say
Thank
that,
you.
true pioneer, starring the CEO of the Sisters Network Inc., the largest African American breast cancer survivorship organization. And it's just wonderful. And you've been blessed, and you've blessed us with your presence today, and we really appreciate you. Thanks so much, and take care.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Have a blessed day.